How you doing? I'm just going to go over the weekend crimes that occurred in Trenton over this weekend. I'm going to start off with 800 Greenwood Avenue, April 4th at 0001 hours. Patrol got a call for a shooting in progress. They responded to find one victim that was shot multiple times. He was taken over to St. Francis and then ultimately transported to Capitol Health Regional Medical Center for further treatment. That victim right now is still critical. Next shooting I'm going to move on to is Bond and MLK. Officers responded out there at 5:09 hours, again, to reports of multiple shootings, or multiple shots fired, excuse me. At that scene, there was two victims. One victim is critical as of right now, and one victim is unfortunately deceased. The next shooting occurred at 134 Hoffman Avenue at 7:05 p.m. The one victim was a black female, also taken to Capitol Health Regional Medical Center and in critical condition as of yet. The next shooting, 448 Greenwood Avenue, occurred at 21:09 hours. Four victims. Three victims are non-life threatening. The one victim is deceased. Any questions? We are looking at possibly the three shootings to possibly be related at this time. We're not 100% sure, but we are looking at that. 134 Hoffman Avenue right now, from everything that we've gathered, is going to be an isolated incident.
And any reason? Any reason for
Right now, we don't have reasons. We're still looking into it, still under investigation. Three of the investigations currently are under the Homicide Task Force. Mercer County Task Force is investigating. The one other incident, 800 Greenwood Avenue, is currently being investigated by our shooting response team.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming here. Yesterday was Palm Sunday, but yet it was anything but peaceful in the capital city. And our city was rocked by intermittent violence, four separate incidents, left two for dead, one is clinging for life, and five others are wounded out of these incidents. Now, while most Trentonians are adhering to the governor's stay-at-home order, over this past weekend, a lot of young people came out, were congregating, were violating the order by going in the parks, and many of these incidents involved ATV usage, which remain elusive because they endanger the public safety when we go in pursuit for them. Where I am expanding Trenton's emergency powers to institute a across-the-board 8 o'clock curfew. And that will mean that all businesses and gas stations, including gas stations, corner stores, will also be shut at 8 o'clock. Also, if any of the businesses violate the 8 o'clock curfew or violate the social distancing guidelines or sanitary conditions guideline, they will be shut down for the duration of this pandemic. And also, if any gas stations sell any ATV or any vehicle other than one that is registered and that can legally drive on the road, if they sell them gas, they will also be immediately shut down for the remainder of this pandemic. In addition, using the emergency powers, we will be confiscating any ATVs. We're asking them that if they can't be parked, they can't be in sight, and they can't be in use. If they are within the confines of Trenton, they will be confiscated. In the meantime, I am referring to council two emergent matters. One, we're reintroducing an ordinance by Jarrell Blakely calling and codifying the recently state's law that allows for municipalities to confiscate vehicles. We're also asking that fines for all violations of the curfew be raised up until $2,000. We can't stress the importance that these acts and people violating the stay-at-home order really endanger lives. They also transmit the virus. If anyone who is congregating in close confines will transmit the virus to the others, and that really helps us. It does not help us contain this virus. So we ask for the public's cooperation. We're really grateful for our first responders, the police, the fire, the EMS workers, and even our health officers, who really are making that extra effort to keep Trentonians healthy and safe. So we ask that all citizens help us also enforce these regulations. If you see an ATV out there, if you see a quad out there, please call the police, call City Hall, because we really need to end this scourge on our streets and also control the violence. We hope things get better. We know at some point some will get worse before the end of this pandemic, but we really need the public's assistance, and we need the businesses also to really adhere to the social distancing guidelines, sanitation guidelines. Many people we see congregating in corner stores, ignoring it. If you're in your youth, you are not immune to COVID-19. You're just as susceptible, and even if you're asymptomatic, you can infect others. So it is really important that we clamp down on the violations, but also step up enforcement. We've notified the state and the county to also ask us to assist in our efforts, and all the agencies are working together on this front. We'll take questions at the end, if you don't mind.
The first fatality concerning chasing a quad was I guess 20 years ago at the bike race.
Yes, I remember that.
The kid's mother got the quad out of hock and gave it to him. That's when you stopped the chase of them. Now, are the police going to be able to do anything to chase these kids?
Well, and a lieutenant can elaborate on this further, but it also endangers others. If a quad decides to go down on the DNR canal and somebody's walking their dog or strolling a baby carriage and police are in hot pursuit, that could really endanger injuring others. If they chase them down an alleyway or a side street, you can have a car accident. So their protocol is not to chase them. We're working with, we're installing more cameras for security purposes and to also track the ATVs. We're also looking into drone usage to also control the use of ATVs. But we want the message loud and clear. If you're going to be on an ATV in the city, even if it's parked, it will be confiscated. And keep it in your garage, lock it up, and any use of it, any taking it out of it, while this emergency is in order, we will be confiscating those vehicles.
Mayor, Chauncey on CBS 30. I want to ask you to look that way. I'm just
Okay.
social distancing.
Okay.
How, and this might be a question for the lieutenant, how are police and fire able to balance responding to things, keeping themselves safe, and keeping the public safe? How confident are you with what you guys are doing right now to address that?
Well, that's why we are really grateful to the first responders. They're still doing their job. They signed up for this. I don't know if they signed up for COVID-19, but yet they are going out and risking their own health for the safety of others. And that's why they're doing yeoman's effort in that regard. We're disseminating masks. We're disseminating gloves and to protect them as best they can. But they're still out there doing their job. You'll see them when they see a street corner where congregating youth are. They're breaking them up. But now we're going to be issuing summonses and we're going to be increasing the fines for violators.
And this question's for the lieutenant, one more follow-up. Is there any way to confirm or elaborate on possible the officers and the director who might have been COVID-19?
Well, Lieutenant, if you want to come here, I guess for the microphone.
And again, if you could look that way, I'm sorry.
As of right now, I can't confirm the numbers in the department as far as the positives that we have. For now, we're just going to keep the numbers where we're at right now. As far as the quarantined officers, same thing. I'm not going to elaborate on the number of officers that we have at this time.
But you're confirming that
I'm just not going to confirm the numbers right now.
But there are, okay, but
Okay.
they are, and there are some quarantine.
There are some, yes.
Okay. So question for you, logistically, how do you guys deal with that once you find out that they have it and backtracking and thinking about, when they were out with the public, if they were patrolmen or when?
Right now, we're coordinating everything with the health director and following all her CDC guidelines. So far, everything's been going pretty smoothly with that. But basically, we rely on her expertise, and then there's a little bit of an investigation done on her part, and then we decide which officer, well, she decides which officers need to be quarantined and which officers can return back to patrol duties.
How worried are you for your officers?
I'm worried for all the officers, I'm worried for the officers, for everyone in the city, from the city administration to every department within the city. We're worried for not only our employees, but also for our families at home, too.
You have a sobering loss of life statewide, and yet there are people that in the city, a faction of individuals that continue to take up guns and inflict carnage on people on the streets. What's it going to take? And quite plainly, what the hell is going on in the city of Trenton that we have a pandemic and people are continuing to perpetuate that type of violence?
Well, we can't control we hope to control the violence as best we can. This is something that's going across America with increased gun violence, but we are taking it seriously. And at the end of the day, people have to take personal responsibility. We need the community's help as well. There are people that are afraid to step up and give us a call. They may witness something, and also control your children. This is something that's going to take an extraordinary effort by all the citizens of Trenton. If we want to stop the violence, we're going to need all citizens to pitch in. We can't just simply rely on handcuffs that we're going to stop this. This takes a concerted effort, and we hope that individuals take this Easter week to reflect on their morals and instill better values than some of them have been allowed to instill. I will add about going back to the lieutenant's point, we were the first city in the state to open up a testing site strictly for first responders. We took about 500 first responders, and had we not taken those tests, it could have gotten a lot worse. So we're containing it when anybody tests positive. We're also quarantining those around them, and we're doing contact tracing to ensure that.
You see departments across the state that have been issuing summonses, citations, shutting businesses down for violating the social gathering ban, for violating the stay-at-home order. Why wasn't the city proactive in doing this? Trenton Police hasn't issued one citation, I think. They haven't issued one citation. Why wasn't this done proactively and ahead of this? And why is it being done retroactively when there's a loss of life?
This goes back to the shortage when Chris Christie cut out our state funding. We had to lay off 125 officers. We're still recovering from that. So we do the best we can. And we also, before, we did break up a lot of corners, but we didn't issue summons because we wanted to maintain that community spirit. But now we want to make it clear that if you're out in the corner and we catch you, we will be issuing summonses. This is going to take a concerted effort. This city has over 60 neighborhoods that are distinct, and we have to. We can't be at all places at all the time. If something happens in the East Ward and officers are investigating something in the West Ward, then there's a shortage of personnel. But this dates back to when this city had to lay off 125 officers. And we've been trying the darnest to replace those officers, bring them back to the levels where we can adequately patrol this city. And it's going to take a substantial investment from this state to help us do that.
A question for you. The national surge in gun possession, gun sales has spiked, just like the disease, which is a uniquely American experience. None of the other countries went out and bought guns because of the pandemic. Do you think that's going to increase gun violence?
It can. I hear gun sales are up, not down. And the other thing is that we're just right over a stone's throw into Pennsylvania. You can go to about 7 gun shows in a month. And unfortunately, a lot of those guns that are purchased come back over here. There's anecdotal stories of gang members going over there to buy bullets, and they're not there to shop for deer hunting season. It really needs the assistance of the federal government, and shame on the federal government for not doing more. I do applaud our congressional delegation that has been trying to work with other states to realize that we have to do a better job at sensible gun limiting measures.
There's reports that one of the individuals shot a woman on Hoffman Avenue. There was a large gathering of people just sitting around watching a street fight, videotaping it live on Facebook. Can you talk about the level of deprivation of mind to sit there, not only flout the governor's order, but also have callous disregard for the other human being that you sit there and tape somebody getting beaten up and then eventually killed?
It was disgusting behavior, and it was deplorable behavior. And shame on those who were sitting around just watching and not trying to intervene or call the police. It took a bullet before the police were called. And again, we can't patrol every neighborhood at every single minute of the day. And this was during broad daylight. When you're supposed to be, you should be at home, you should be adhering to the governor's order, and it was Palm Sunday. You should have spent the day reflecting about how you could do better for your community. But unfortunately, it was disgusting and deplorable behavior that we will not tolerate if we catch it, if we see it further.
Mayor, you said that curfew starts at 8. What time in the morning does it go until? I'm sorry.
Till 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Any last questions, anybody?
For the health officer, where are we at in terms of
Yep.
the local pandemic here? How many confirmed cases?
Yep.
Do we have any additional deaths? A rundown of that.
Yeah, we have our OEM director, Derek Sawyer, and we also have our health officer, Yvette Graffy Cooper, who's going to speak after me, but you can get those answers.
Thank you. I'm Health Officer Yvette Graphic Cooper. In terms of numbers, right now we have 175 individuals that are under investigation. So they either had a test done and all the results are not back. Of those 175, we have a total of 128 positive cases within the city of Trenton. My office and myself, the nurses, what we have been doing is once they become positive, we do what we call the contact tracing. So we will call the positives, we'll find out everyone that they're in contact with, we'll notify those individuals, and those that need to be on quarantine, we will put them on quarantine for 7, 14 days, whatever the quarantine period we decide once we have investigated those cases. We have currently 2 deaths, and the age range that we are looking at right now, most of those positive cases range between the age of 18 and 65. We have a total of 13 individuals that are older, which is 65 and older. So I know the trend says seniors, but right now for the city of Trenton, we are seeing that age range is actually a little bit different for our demographic because it's between 18 and 65.
And the 2 deaths, what was the demographics on the 2 deaths?
1 male, 1 female, 1 was a senior, 1 was an adult.
And was one of those individuals at Trenton Psychiatric Hospital? Is that accurate?
The Trenton Psychiatric Hospital right now those contact tracing are being done by the state health department because it's a state facility. So no, it's just Trenton residents. So at one point we were doing the contact tracing, but when the number became a little bit on the high side, the state took it over again. So I'm just doing the numbers for Trenton only.
Do you expect a bigger surge in the coming days, or what can we expect?
Yes, sir. So the numbers are going to change, and the surge, yes, will be higher. So what my department is currently doing is we are hitting the street. So my nurses and staff We are going out to all the businesses that are open, liquor store, laundromats, corner stores, and what we are doing is we have a social distancing campaign that we have going on. We actually go out and show them, measure it for them, put tapes down on their floors to show them where the 6 feet distance should be. We educate them on even the lines that are outside, because what we find is that they're social distancing on the inside, but the line that is waiting outside, they won't follow those guidelines. So we're actually putting down markers for the stores, the laundromat. Right now, my staff is out on the street with one of their councilmen, and we're going to each ward and each neighborhood, and we are trying to get that done. We were on Hermitage and Gouverneur over the weekend. We were on Hoffman and Oakland. I mean, we're hitting all the corners where their population is congregating, and we're actually trying to get their attention, because all we actually need right now is for everyone to stay at home and stay inside.
How much more difficult does it make your job as health officer when you have people that are just flagrantly out disregarding the governor's order and not providing the care?
It makes it extremely difficult. Again, like the mayor says, at some point the community has to take responsibility for their health, their family's health, and their actions. And there's only so much that we as first responders can do. We rely on the community to play their part, and if they're not playing their part, it will make my job and every first responder's job even more difficult. Because again, this virus requires us to stay inside, if you're on quarantine, to stay on quarantine. And if the community is not taking the responsibility to do that, yes, it does make my job and all our jobs even more difficult.
All right, any last questions for the health officer?
In terms of the Trenton Police and Trenton Fire, how many Trenton Police and Trenton firefighters do we have confirmed cases of COVID?
Total of 8, but maybe about 14, 15, or even higher on quarantine. So
What's the breakdown in terms of officers, firefighters?
I believe it's 5 and 3.
5 and 3?
Yes,
Trenton Police, 5, 3 firefighters.
yes, in that order. But there's total of 8 first responders. But then again, the folks that are on quarantine, because remember, everyone that comes in contact with someone that's positive, I will give them a call, find out what their close contact were, and then I will decide whether or not they need to be on quarantine. And remember, they work in shifts and with partners, and they're interacting with each other on a daily basis. So I would have a higher number than that is currently on quarantine, waiting, because the virus takes anywhere from 2 to 14 days before you could see any kind of symptoms, and you can be positive and asymptomatic. So I would put them out on quarantine for that 14 days, and then I'll make a determination when that is over, who can come back to work.
I gotta give Isaac credit for asking the same question to 2 different people. Can we have Dirk
Thank you.
Sawyer come up, our OEM coordinator?
Good afternoon, Derek Sawyer, Fire Director / Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Trenton. Just want to give you an update what we're doing from a emergency management perspective. You already heard the numbers from the health officer, and for the most part, this has to be a whole community approach. So you have your first responders serving the City of Trenton, putting their lives on the line. So if you want to help those that serve, you help lower the curve by making sure you follow the stay-at-home order. And this is how the media can help us get our message out, by making sure that we keep that message going, follow the stay-home order. And even though it's called social distancing, it's more like physical distancing, because we want to keep the social relationship going so that we can cut down on some of the violence. So again, what we're doing is we're working on making sure that the health department, the first responders all have enough equipment, personal protective equipment, so that they can perform their jobs at a high level. But we're making sure that we keep the supplies coming in. As you know, there's a national shortage of supplies. So again, in order for us to be successful, this has to be a community approach. The whole community has to participate. We need everyone to follow the stay-at-home order. If you want to help those that serve, help lower the curve, stay home. Everyone here, or everyone in this community, has someone that works in public safety, a doctor, a nurse, healthcare provider. Think about your families and how you're putting them at risk. If nothing else, do that for us. And that's what I'll leave it as. If you want to help lower the curve and help those that serve, follow the stay-at-home order. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, I can take any follow-up questions you guys have. If you got anything, come over here. I also have a copy of the, I've got a copy of the
Thank you, everyone.